It was a sound no one else on the farm heard. Not the busy farmer, not the other animals. It was a faint whimper of pure agony, carried on the wind from the edge of the woods. The old donkey, whose coat was grey and whose steps were slow, lifted his head. His life was one of repetitive, thankless labor, and now in his old age he was mostly ignored, left to stand alone in his dusty paddock. But he heard the cry. Driven by a feeling he couldn't name, he nudged open the loose gate and walked slowly towards the trees. There, caught in the rusted jaws of a cruel, forgotten trap, was a tiny wolf pup. Its leg was mangled, and its desperate eyes pleaded for an end to the pain. The donkey saw no predator, only a child in despair. With a strength born of pure will, he placed his sturdy hoof on the spring of the trap and pressed down. The metal jaws snapped open. The pup, whimpering, licked the donkey's leg once before limping away into the forest's embrace, vanishing from sight. Years passed. The donkey grew weaker, his bones ached with every cold morning. One harsh winter, the farmer deemed him too old, too useless. He was led to a barren field far from the barn and left there as a brutal snowstorm began to rage. The wind cut like a knife, and the snow fell in a blinding sheet. The old donkey, shivering violently, finally collapsed into a drift, his body giving up. He closed his eyes, accepting his fate. But then he felt a warmth, not one, but many. He opened his eyes to a sight that would have terrified any man. A pack of huge, powerful wolves had surrounded him. They weren't snarling, they weren't circling. They were pressing their bodies against his, sharing their heat, shielding him from the wind. At their head stood a magnificent alpha, whose front leg bore the faint silvery scars of an old injury. He nudged the donkey's face gently, his eyes filled with a clear, unmistakable memory. The farmer, watching from his window, stood frozen in disbelief. The wolves stayed all night, a living blanket of fur and loyalty, until the storm broke. Sometimes, the deepest debts are not paid with gold, but with a loyalty forged in a moment of selfless compassion.